It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, today is a historic day. We see that it is the beginning of the second impeachment of Donald Trump, the only president to be impeached twice. Okay, the only president to be impeached twice. And also, the day is, I just finished doing my online class, class number 1 of Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'at for Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we had a good class tonight. We had a few technical difficulties, but we worked through that. So one of the things I talked about was February 9th, 1861. Jefferson Davis, who became the president of the Confederacy, and Jefferson Davis was from Mississippi. Jefferson Davis was elected as president of the Confederacy on February 9th, 1861. And he wanted an insurrection. Okay, this is 2 months before the Civil War starts. Civil War started April 12th, 1861. And he wanted to secede from the Union and go to war with the Union. He wanted an insurrection. Well, 160 years later, February 9th, 2021, you have a president who is being put on trial in an impeachment trial for actually inciting a resurrection. Okay. And, Donald Trump has some tendencies sympathetic to the Confederacy, because he did not want to change the names of military bases named after Confederate soldiers. Okay, y'all remember that? Okay, this is one of the reasons why he vetoed the National Defense and Authorization Act. And then there was a supermajority in the House and the Senate to override his veto. So this is a historic day for a number of reasons. How's everybody doing? Everybody post this information, share this information on your social media platforms. We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. So share this broadcast on your social media platforms. All right, so we're going to talk some about the second impeachment of Donald Trump, and then we'll also talk about Mary Wilson of the Supremes. We know Mary Wilson passed away. The Supremes, founding member of the Supremes, and I first found out from Roland Martin last night. He posted on social media, and so that's a big shock also. So we'll talk a little bit about Mary Wilson. And then I want to get to this other story. I haven't been able to get to this for the past couple of days. There's been so much going on. This is a really good story for African American History Month. Now, yesterday, we talked about the school in Utah, the charter school in Utah that allowed parents to opt out of an African American History Month celebration. Okay. Now, at the same time that you have nonsense like this. Now they reversed their decision. Okay, they got the Sister Betty from the NAACP contacted them, and then they reversed their decision after that. I like to. I need to call Sister Betty. I want to get that transcript of that conversation. It was what was her name? I'll find her name. I want a transcript of that conversation though. But at the same time that's taking place, you have in state legislatures across the country, you have Republicans trying to proposing bills to prevent teaching students about injustice and prevent teaching students about racism. We're gonna talk about that. A bill in several states wants to limit teaching about racism and oppression and they want to adopt the framing of the debunked 1776 commission. That commission was convened by Donald Trump. Okay, so all this is tied together. I posted this is a good month to have this conversation. This conversation is good to have any month, but especially African American History Month, because a lot of people mistakenly think that only African Americans need to know African American history. That's not true. The history of African Americans needs to be taught in every school across this country. Everybody needs to understand our history. The reason why is the way people think about a people, what they've been taught about a people, influences how they think, feel, and act towards those people. And when you study Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who co-founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, September 9th, 1915 in Chicago, and created Negro History Week in 1926, when you study Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Dr. Woodson felt that the history of African Americans need to be taught in every school across the country. Okay, not just schools that we go to. The history of African Americans needed to be taught in every school across the country. So, and he said that the prejudice and racism that we experience largely comes from people not knowing our history and being taught lies about our history, being taught lies about us and buying into those lies. So there was a article that I posted. Well, first of all, I posted this article here from news1.com on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, a couple of days ago. And this article is from February 5th. I posted a couple of days ago, got over 1,000 likes. And sometimes people were saying, oh, well, we don't care the history that they teach. We just need to teach our children our history. You don't seem to understand that politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth-bound resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. What people understand about history influences the policies that they support and who they vote into office, who they support politically. There's a direct correlation between people's understanding of history and the policies that they support. So there was a article that I posted from 2018. This is from Newsweek.com. Okay. We're going to go to impeachment of Trump in just a minute, but the impeachment of Trump ties into history, because you have a lot of people who are following Trump who are ignorant of the U.S. Constitution. If they understood the Constitution, they'll understand, one, Trump is a traitor. Two, Vice President Mike Pence did not have the authority to overturn the election results. Okay, that was certified by the Electoral College, the December 14th certification of the Electoral College votes. From the 50 states, they would have understood he didn't have the authority to do that. Okay, so there was a study from there was a study done in 2018. There was an article from Newsweek.com that talks about this study. Okay, and I want to pull this up here. I talked about it on my show. I posted it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. 40% of whites think Black people just need to try harder, poll finds. 40% of whites think that Black people just need to try harder. Okay, that's the name of this article from Newsweek.com. This ties into people's understanding of history. All right, so let me pull this article up here. I want to turn on the screen share, because what's important to understand is that when you try to get your issues met, and you're dealing with people in the elected position, what their level of understanding about your history has a large impact on the policies they support or vote against. which is one of the reasons why uh, you can't get a reparations bill passed. You can't even get a bill passed to study reparations. Okay, you can't even get a bill passed to study reparations. I'm trying to close this damn thing out. You can't even get a bill passed to study reparations because there's not enough support in the House of Representatives for reparations. So 40% of whites think black people just need to try harder, poll finds. These are people ignorant of history. And let me see if I can pull this up from another source. You're dealing with a lot of people ignorant of history, and they're represented in the House of Representatives by people who are ignorant of history also. So if we look at this poll quickly, 40% of white Americans think black people would be just as well off as white people if they worked harder, according to a new poll from YouGov on Wednesday. Now, this, keep in mind, this is 2018, right? This is under Donald Trump. This is from April 4th, 2018. April 4th is the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. April 4th, 2018. Okay? That's the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. 40% of white Americans think African Americans would be just as well off as white people if they worked harder. YouGov asked a number of questions on what it called racial resentment, one of which centered on whether the respondent agreed with the statement. It's really a matter of some people not trying hard enough. If blacks would only try harder, they could be just as well off as whites. Obviously, you never read the book How White Folks Got So Rich, The Untold Story of American White Supremacy. You obviously never read that book before. Okay. Overall, 35% of respondents agreed, 16% strongly agreed, 19% somewhat with the statement, 28% neither agreed nor disagreed. Okay. So when we go through and we look at these different studies, we look at the one from uh, the segment from CBS Morning News from January 19th, 2021. And it deals with how most Americans don't know what's in the US Constitution. That deals with understanding history. When we look at this study that you hear me talk about a lot, this one here from the Southern Poverty Law Center, Teaching Hard History American Slavery, Teaching Hard History American Slavery, 52-page study, which surveyed 1,000 high school seniors and showed how little they know about the history of slavery. Then, as ignorant as people are, and I'm not saying ignorant, I'm not calling people names, but as ignorant as people are about history, then you have Republicans in state legislatures who are trying to control and trying to prevent teaching students about racism and oppression. We'll deal with this on the other side of the break, and we'll deal with Trump's impeachment also, which comes from a misunderstanding of history as well. The people who are following him don't understand history, don't understand law. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael M. Hotel. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. How's everybody doing? All right, I'm gonna post a link here to this article from Newsweek.com. 40% of whites think black people just need to try harder. That's from 2018. Just so people understand. Okay, we'll be back in a couple minutes. Stand by. Stand by. I gotta get ready for this next segment here. All right. Okay. How's everybody doing today? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. All right. Let's see here. Stand by. We'll be back from break in a couple of minutes. Stand by, everybody. Okay. We'll be back from break in just a minute. Y'all can still register for my online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We have a new link for the sign up also. As soon as you register, you can watch the class I did February 9th. You can watch tonight's class as soon as you register. We're back from break in, I think, about 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Well, maybe a minute. Okay. All right. So we posted the link. You can register for my online class. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and we are live. So we had a great class tonight, class number 1 of my online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course. It meets every Tuesday. There were a few technical issues I had to work through, so we got a lot of people um, watch the class tonight live. All the sessions are archived. If you miss any of them, you can go back and watch them over and over again. If you missed the first class, you can still register for it. I just posted the link here. We have a new link for the sign up. It's also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's regularly $130, on sale $80. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We're going to have a special guest speaker in the class next Tuesday. It's going to be Sister Nubia Wartford, who's a cultural anthropologist and has done a number of excavations, archaeological digs in the Sudan. She's going to deal with the African queens, okay, of antiquity. We'll talk some about the African queens of antiquity, and we'll talk about Nubia, Ta-Nehisi, ancient Kemet, things like that. All right. Okay. So go ahead and register for the class. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1, and there's some bonus content also you can watch. All right. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. Let's jump into this information dealing with the impeachment. We right before the break, I talked about this article from Newsweek.com. It came out in 2018. The studies from 2018. I posted it. I was going through some archived information that I have, and I posted it on our Facebook fan page. You got a big response a couple of days ago. This ties into what's going on right now with African American History Month. This ties into the Montessori, the school, the Maria Montessori Academy in Utah, Ogden, Utah, that allowed parents to opt their children out of Black History Month lessons, but then they revoked that option. And the sister with the NAACP that I mentioned, I'm looking at the article from USA Today. We talked about this on our Monday show. Betty Sawyer, president of the Ogden branch of the NAACP. Betty Sawyer gave them a call and they changed their tune. So big shout out to Sister Betty Sawyer. All right. So today was a historic day, as we said in the beginning. beginning the second impeachment in the U.S. Senate of Donald John Trump. So after he became the first president to be impeached twice, Donald Trump is also now the first former president to go on trial in the Senate. Trump's historic second trial got underway in the afternoon, this afternoon, weeks after his impeached, weeks after he was impeached again after inciting the deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, in his opening remarks, said Trump faces the, quote, gravest charges ever brought against a president of the United States in American history. The gravest charges ever brought against a president of the United States in American history. The proceedings began with the two sides debating whether there should be a trial at all. Trump's attorneys, after laying out their arguments, they felt there should not be a trial at all. They lost. A lot of arguments didn't make sense, and they weren't very well prepared. Also, now they didn't have a lot of time to prepare because 5 of Trump's previous attorneys quit because it's rumored that he wanted them to not just defend him but also lie and say the election was stolen and he actually won the election. Now, they have said it is unconstitutional. Trump's attorneys have said it is unconstitutional for a president to face an impeachment trial after leaving office, and have said that his remarks to supporters on the day of the riot, including a call for them to, quote, fight like hell, end quote, are protected under the First Amendment. First of all, under the First Amendment, you can't incite violence. You can't say things that incite violence under the First Amendment. That's not protected. One. Two, you can... elected officials can be impeached after they leave office. Okay, William Belknap is an example of that. Okay, but the impeachment in the House of Representatives of Donald Trump started while he was still president. So that example don't really even apply here. Now, Trump's attorney, Bruce Castor Jr., Article 1, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, which states that, quote, judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office, end quote. And he said, what's so hard about that? Which of these words are unclear? President Trump is no longer in office. The object of the Constitution has been achieved. He was removed by the voters. Now, what's interesting is that his attorney, Castor, just admitted that Trump lost the election. And he said he was removed by the voters. He didn't say he was removed by stealing the election. He didn't say he was removed by fraud. He said he was removed by the voters. I wonder if this dude's gonna get paid. That's what I want. Are y'all actually gonna get paid? This is his defense attorney. His defense attorney admitted that voters voted Trump out of office. He admitted it in the Senate proceedings, which basically is calling Trump a liar, because you can't say the election was stolen and then your defense attorney is telling the jury that your ass was voted out of office by the voters. Now, Representative Jamie Raskin, who is who was a former constitutional law professor, Representative Jamie Raskin, the lead House impeachment manager, said Trump's legal team is arguing that, quote, if you commit an impeachable offense in your last few weeks in office, you do it with constitutional impunity. You get away with it. So you're saying in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, President Barack Obama could have done some unconstitutional things and it's just been all right with Republicans? They wouldn't have impeached him? Is that your argument? Is it your argument that in the last 2 or 3 weeks of Joe Biden's term, whether he does 1 term or 2 terms, whatever it is it your argument that in the last 2 or 3 weeks he can do things that are unconstitutional and not be impeached, and Republicans are not going to try to impeach him? Is that the precedent that you're trying to set? Or is it that you're too cowardly to stand up to Trump and many of his thug insurrectionists? Is that what it is? Now, the impeachment managers also played a video laying out the timeline of the Capitol attack, featuring Trump's remarks on that day and video clips of the violence. Video clips of the violence. Quote, that's a high crime and misdemeanor. Representative Jamie Raskin, the lead House impeachment manager, said after the video was shown, quote, if that's not an impeachable offense, then there is no such thing, end quote. I want to go to this clip here. This is from the NBC Nightly News. They give a recap of what took place today in the Senate trial. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
The rioters did 1 month ago, this time not to seize control, but to make their case for conviction against Donald Trump.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
Making history, this the second trial of Mr. Trump, the first ever against a former president.
Our case is based on cold, hard facts.
Democrats opening with a graphic 13-minute video montage reliving the horrors of January 6th.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Mixing in the words of Mr. Trump with clips from the crowd, supporters calling out his name.
There's a billion of us out there.
Rioters storming the Capitol, an officer firing a gunshot into the mob as people ransacked the Senate chamber.
That's a high crime and misdemeanor. If that's not an impeachable offense, then there is no such thing.
Today, a clash over constitutionality. Democrats insisting a president must be held accountable for actions while in office, even if a trial happens after they've left.
There is no January exception to the impeachment power. That presidents can't commit grave offenses in their final days and escape any congressional response.
A presentation at times emotional from those who lived it. Congressman Jamie Raskin recalling his daughter's fear that day.
And you know what she said? She said, Dad, I don't want to come back to the Capitol. Of all the terrible, brutal things I saw and I heard on that day, and since then, that one hit me the hardest.
Afterward, Mr. Trump's lawyers praising the Democrats' performance.
We changed what we were going to do on account that we thought that the House manager's presentation was well done.
While condemning last month's attack.
What happened on January 6th and the storming, breaching of the Capitol should be denounced in the most vigorous terms.
But arguing Mr. Trump never incited the violence and that it's unconstitutional to try to remove a president who's no longer in office.
This idea of a January amnesty is nonsense. If my colleagues on this side of the chamber actually think that President Trump committed a criminal offense after he's out of office, you go and arrest him.
Later slamming the Democrats for what they called splicing video.
They don't need to show you movies to show you that the riot happened here. We will stipulate that it happened, and you know all about it.
And blasting the Democrats' entire case as a vendetta against Mr. Trump.
A great many Americans see this process for exactly what it is. A chance by a group of partisan politicians seeking to eliminate Donald Trump from the American political scene and seeking to disenfranchise 74 million plus American voters.
Tonight, 6 Republican senators joining Democrats voting that the trial is constitutional. One of those Republicans criticizing Mr. Trump's legal team as disorganized and random. Still, it underscores the challenge for Democrats who need 17 Republican votes to convict.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Shakita. So that is from NBC Nightly News. Go to NBC.com. You can watch that clip from NBC Nightly News. That is... what's the name of that one? That's from the Trump's historic second impeachment trial underway. Trump's historic second impeachment trial underway. Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, let's look at this article from NBC News. Washington Post has another good one that I have here. 4 takeaways from day one of Trump's second impeachment trial. That's from the Washington Post. If we look at this here from NBC News, this deals with key takeaways from day one of Trump's second impeachment trial. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy served up a surprise when he sided with Democrats on the constitutionality of holding a trial. So we see 56 senators voted to proceed with the trial. There's another article you can check out. Senate declares Trump impeachment constitutional, allowing trial to proceed. So it was 56 senators, including 6 Republicans, who voted that the trial is constitutional against 44 Republicans. The 56-44 vote rejected an argument from Trump's attorneys that it is unconstitutional to try a former president, a debate that took up much of the first day of arguments from the House impeachment managers and Trump's legal team. Voting alongside all Senate Democrats were Republicans Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Mitt Romney of Utah, Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, and Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Okay, so check out the rest of that article. Let's go quickly. Let's look at some key takeaways. Okay, one Republican flips. That was Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. All right. Then Democrats skip right to core of case. The first day was supposed to have been dedicated just to constitutional arguments, and most had imagined that it would be filled with arcane discussions by legal scholars, but Democrats knew the audience would be large, and they used their most compelling material at the outset, a 13-minute mashup of video clips of the mob storming the Capitol. And at NBCnews.com and MSNBC, they have that clip. I think there's a link to the clip here in the article also. Okay. Trump's lawyer rambles. So I'm sitting there watching this, man. I'm like, is this dude getting paid? I mean, did he just like pass the bar exam? You know, there's some second-year law students at Wayne State University probably could have argued a better case. Trump attorney Bruce Castor might have stolen the show Tuesday, but it didn't appear to be by design. In a presentation that lasted almost an hour, attorney Bruce Castor, defense attorney, spoke off the cuff, meandering from ancient Greek history to allusions to the Revolutionary War. He discussed a childhood spent listening to former senators like Everett Dirksen. He talked about Senator Pat Toomey, noting that he is also from Pennsylvania. He sought to flatter Senator Ben Sasse, calling Nebraska a judicial thinking place. Both senators are considered swing votes. Mostly, defense attorney Bruce Castor left senators confused about his point. Now, Senator John Cornyn, a Republican from Texas, told reporters, "I thought the president's lawyer, the first lawyer, just rambled on and on and on and didn't really address the constitutional argument." Trump's allies tried to spin the confusing presentation as part of a strategy to get away from the emotional Democratic arguments, but later, defense attorney Bruce Castor acknowledged that after they watched the Democrats' presentation and video, he and Trump's other attorney, David Schoen, decided to change course. He said, quote, "I'll be frank with you, we changed what we were going to do on account that we thought the House manager's presentation was well done." It was well done. I watched it. It was, oh my God. You can just convict them right on that video. The video. I mean, it was very well done. Okay. We can't show all of it to you because there's a whole lot of curse words. There's a whole lot of cussing in there. They put it up. They didn't edit out anything. All right. Now, managers impress, but to what end? At the end of the first day, there were no signs that there had been a breakthrough or a revelation that would convict Trump. Senator Roger Wicker, a Republican from Mississippi, said, "I thought the attorneys were very well prepared and well spoken. I think actually the Democrats sent a better team this year than last." Okay, they're talking about the impeachment in 2020 of Trump. Okay, but he added, "It did not change my mind." Well, this is just at the beginning. They haven't even they're up. Now, one of the things that the impeachment manager said is that they're going to introduce evidence that nobody has seen before either. Okay, so wait till this whole thing plays out. Wait till this whole thing plays out. Okay. Uh, so Ms. Respect says, so basically they're admitting they weren't prepared. Well, yeah, they weren't prepared, but they're playing the cards that are dealt to them. Trump's a horrible defendant, and everybody knows Trump is guilty. Okay, it's all right there on video, and it's in tweets. Everybody knows Trump is guilty. So, but they did a largely a poor job today. Also, his defense team. All right. Also, check out this one here from Washington Post. We don't have time to get to this. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about it. I don't know. 4 takeaways from day one of Trump's second impeachment trial. Check out that one also from the Washington Post. 4 takeaways from day one of Trump's second impeachment trial. Just the fact that you have to say the second impeachment trial of a president. Second impeachment trial in 2 years. Okay. That should tell you how terrible he is. All right. So I want to go to this next story here. And also, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. And then also through PayPal. PayPal.me/the AHN Show. PayPal.me/the AHN Show. All right. Well, you know, a couple of days ago, we lost Leon Spinks. Then a couple of weeks ago, we lost Cicely Tyson. Then that was on a Thursday. Then the week before that, we lost Hank Aaron. And then we got the news. Late last night. I first found out from Roland Martin. He posted it on his social media platforms. Mary Wilson of the Supremes has passed away, and she was the founding member of the Supremes. And we, those of us here in Detroit, Motown, came to a shock to us. We, a lot of people were devastated. So Mary Wilson, an original member of the Supremes, dies at 76. Okay, so I grew up listening to the Supremes. Well, let me rephrase that. I grew up listening to my parents were playing the records of the Supremes. Okay, I wasn't alive in the 60s, but so I still grew up listening to the Supremes. But I remember like Donna Ross going solo, and I remember Donna Ross coming out with her solo albums. Like The Boss, things like that. All right, so New York Times is a good article. There was some good reporting on this. There's one from WXYZ Channel 7 in Detroit as well. They have some good information, some good coverage on this. But he was 76 years old, and Mary Wilson joined with Florence Ballard and Diana Ross, who later emerged as the lead singer, to form one of the biggest musical acts of the 1960s. One of the biggest musical acts of the 1960s. I would say the Supremes are one of the biggest musical acts of all time. Their songs have been covered and sampled, things like this. They've influenced other acts. Everybody from En Vogue to They may have even influenced TLC. I think they influenced Destiny's Child. So I would say one of the greatest acts of all time. But I'm from Motown, so I may be a little biased. Okay. I may be a little biased here. All right, so I want to go to this and let me pull up this picture here of Mary Wilson also. All right. So if we look at this article here from New York Times, Mary Wilson, a founding member of the Supremes, the trailblazing vocal group that had a dozen #1 singles on the pop charts in the 1960s and was a key to the success of Motown Records, died on Monday, February 8th, 2021, at her home in Henderson, Nevada. She was 76 years old. The death was confirmed by her publicist, Jay Schwartz. No cause of death has been given as of yet. Okay, so we'll see we'll find out more about what the cause of death was. The death was confirmed by her publicist. Now, formed in Detroit as the Primettes in 1959. The Primettes in 1959. The Supremes, whose other two original members were Diana Ross and Florence Ballard. And Florence Ballard had a tragic end also. There's an episode of Unsung on TV1 dealing with Florence Ballard. But Mary Wilson, whose other two original members were Diana Ross and Florence Ballard, made their mark with hits like Baby Love and Stop in the Name of Love, whose smooth blend of R&B and pop helped define the Motown sound. So you all remember the episode of Good Times when they're doing a variety show and Florida and Walona and Thelma perform Stop in the Name of Love. All right. You all remember that? So, I mean, Supremes, they influence like for generations. And then James jumps up and says, sing the song, baby, sing the song. Right. Everybody remembers that. That's classic TV. Okay. Speaking of Good Times, I posted this on my personal page. And this all ties into history. Y'all don't remember that from Good Times. Y'all know you remember that from Good Times. you don't remember that episode? And Florida had a wig on. She had a short wig on doing the Supremes. There was a what was I looking for? I posted this from what's the name of that? Get TV. And this was from February 9th, 2021. Good Times debuted 47 years ago today. 47 years ago today, Good Times debuted. I posted this, and we're talking about them doing the Supremes on Good Times. And this is the 47th anniversary of the debut of Good Times on TV. It aired on CBS. Okay, so they had songs like Baby Love and Stop in the Name of Love. Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown Records, said in a statement that the Supremes had opened doors for other Motown acts. He said, quote, I was always proud of Mary. She was quite a star in her own right, and over the years continued to work hard to boost the legacy of the Supremes. Now, she was the only original member still with the Supremes when the group broke up in 1977. Mary Wilson was born on March 6, 1944 in Greenfield, Mississippi, to Sam and Johnny Mae Wilson. She grew up in the Brewster Douglas projects right here in Detroit and began singing as a child. When Milton Jenkins, who in 1959 was the manager of the Primes, they're going to become known as the Temptations, when Milton Jenkins, who in 1959 was the manager of the Primes, she decided to form the manager of the Primes decided to form a female version of the act, the Primes, and called them the Primettes. The original members of the Primettes were Betty McGlown, Miss Florence Ballard, Mary Wilson, and Diana Ross. To get Berry Gordy's attention, the group then known as the Primettes, who would later become the Temptations, frequented Motown's Hitsville, USA recording studio after school. They were eventually signed to Motown Records, changed their name to the Supremes, and became a trio in 1962. The Supremes did not fare well early in their career, but they achieved success after they began working with the songwriting and producing team of Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland. Okay, Holland and Dozier. And after Berry Gordy made Diana Ross the lead singer. Before then, Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard had shared most of the lead vocals. Now, the trio's breakthrough single was called When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes. When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes. This song peaked at number 23 on the Billboard Pop Chart in 1963. 5 consecutive #1 singles, all with Diana Ross as the lead singer, followed in rapid succession in 1964 and 1965. Where Did Our Love Go? Baby Love, Come See About Me, Stop in the Name of Love, and Back in My Arms Again. They had 5 consecutive #1 singles, okay, on the Billboard Top 100. 5 consecutive #1 singles. Okay, just a second here. Okay. 5 consecutive #1 singles in 1964 and 1965. This is on Billboard's Pop Chart. Now, the Supremes emerged as stars during an era of tension and upheaval in the United States. 1963, the year of their first hit, was also the year of the March on Washington, August 28, 1963, at which Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. famously spoke and called out America on its hypocrisy and its white supremacy. And Dr. King was focused on dismantling white supremacy and racism. He talked about police brutality, voter suppression, living in ghettos, different things like this. That's all in the speech called I Have a Dream, originally called A Canceled Check. Because I Have a Dream is not the original name of the speech. Originally it was called Normalcy Never Again. Then it was called A Canceled Check, because he was calling out America on its hypocrisy. And he said we were given a promissory note 100 years prior in 1863, meaning the Emancipation Proclamation. And when we took that promissory note to the bank to cash it, it was marked insufficient funds. Speech was not about a dream. So on the March on Washington, Dr. King's speech, Dr. King famously spoke, and the year later that year, November 63, President Kennedy was assassinated. If the nation was seemingly divided, the Supremes nonetheless found fans everywhere. Quote, they were extraordinarily popular with white audiences, Black audiences, and everyone else, said Dolores Barclay, an author and adjunct professor at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, who collaborated with Diana Ross on a memoir called Secrets of a Sparrow that came out in 1993. Secrets of a Sparrow. All right. Look, those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael M. Hotep, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting. You can still register for my online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. It's as soon as you register, you can watch class #1 that we did today. And it's regularly $130 on sale, $80. There's other bonus content there also. So we'll post a link here, or go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com is right on the homepage. Click on register here. You can watch from around the world. All that we do, the classes live. They're all recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. Remember, right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll be back tomorrow night. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. We'll go for a few more minutes because it's been a long day. Stand by. How's everybody doing? All right. Who still needs to register for my online class? Who still needs to register? Let me know. We posted the link there. You can also email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com if you have any questions as well. This is a great class. We have a lot of new content this time around as well. I have a new laptop. That's good. I got a 12-channel mixer, so we're showing videos in the class, and you can hear everything, okay? So you can register. As soon as you register, you can start watching. You can watch from around the world. Also, your children, you can use this for your children. I would say the information is PG-13. You can use this for your children. A lot of children that are at home doing online schooling, things like that. This is good for your children also, okay? And I'm working on commercials as well. John Ray, post your information here. Everybody visit workingwithjohnray.com, workingwithjohnray.com. Check out the information he has on income shifting, workingwithjohnray.com. You're going to hear some more things coming from John Ray also. All right. Let's continue with this with Mary Wilson. Then I want to get to this story dealing with Republicans in the state legislatures who want to limit what is being taught about racism and oppression. Okay. All this ties together. This is all during African American History Month. All this ties together. Republican proposed bills want to prevent teaching students about injustice. Republican proposed bills want to limit teaching students about injustice. Okay, so let's continue here. Then African American business owners, post the name of your business here in the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. All right, let's continue. So the Supremes emerged as stars during an era of tension and upheaval in the United States. 1963, the year their first hit, was also the year of the March on Washington and the year Dr. King was assassinated. Now, Dolores Barclay, an author and adjunct professor at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, said, quote, they were extraordinarily popular with white audiences, Black audiences, and everyone else. Appearing in white venues, quote, appearing in white venues was breaking down racial barriers, end quote, Dolores Barclay said. She went on to say, but it's a different type of disruption. It's non-confrontational. It's non-confrontational. It's having a platform and saying, yes, we're here, we're great, and we're part of American music. Now, the Supremes, quote, transcend adolescence without repudiating it, end quote, an article in the New York Times said in 1967, adding, quote, their audience spans ages and taste barriers. Their audience spans ages and taste barriers. Now, by that year, 1967, the group had undergone another change. Florence Ballard was replaced by Cindy Birdsong, and the group was renamed Diana Ross and the Supremes. Diana Ross and the Supremes. Diana Ross left the group for a solo career in 1970 and was replaced as lead singer by Jean Terrell, leaving Mary Wilson as the last remaining original member of the Supremes. The group went on to score several more hits, including Up the Ladder to the Roof and Stoned Love. Up the Ladder to the Roof and Stoned Love. Okay, now just be honest. I don't remember any of these other hits after Diana Ross left the group. I'm sure they were good. I just don't remember any. I probably saw them sometime, on TV back in the 70s or something. I probably saw them. If I heard the song, I may remember it, but just offhand, I don't remember any of those other songs after Diana Ross left the group. Okay. And it's not because I'm not necessarily a big Diana Ross fan. It's just those other songs, Baby Love, Stop in the Name of Love, those other songs, those are classics. Okay. So, I'm just saying. All right. But I'm sure they were great. I just don't remember any of them. All right. Where Did Our Love Go? I remember that. So the Supremes were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. Very well deserved. The Supremes broke up in 1997. Mary Wilson released the album Mary Wilson in 1979. It met with limited success. And that's what they're saying, not me. And had begun working on a second album when she was dropped by Motown in 1980. She did not release another album until Walk the Line in 1992, but she maintained a busy career as a singer. Now, here is a picture. Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, and Cindy Birdsong. Cindy Birdsong replaced Florence Ballard. Here's a picture here. Let's see here. Let's turn this on. This is from the article from the New York Times. And I remember seeing the Supremes on the Ed Sullivan Show. Okay, it was I didn't see it originally when it aired, but I remember seeing it years later on the Ed Sullivan Show. Right? Because the Supremes just take you all around the world. I mean, fantastic group. When I look at Destiny's Child, and what they were able to achieve, Destiny's Child, they remind me of the Supremes. Okay. So here's a picture of Cindy Birdsong, Mary Wilson, and Diana Ross. Okay, they kind of and Beyonce was the center of Destiny's Child, and like Diana Ross was the center of the Supreme. She became the center of the Supreme. It just and Beyonce goes solo, and so it just reminds me of the Supremes. And then the musical Dreamgirls was loosely based upon the Supremes also, the Dreamgirls. Okay. So let's let me turn the screen share back on. I'll go back to the picture here of Mary Wilson. All right. So for all the so reviewing a cabaret performance in 2009, Stephen Holden of the New York Times praised Mary Wilson's sizable voice with its rough Tina Turner-like edges. He said, sizable voice with its rough Tina Turner-like edges, and noted that despite its emphasis on the Supremes catalog, her performance, quote, suggested that Miss Wilson would really like to get away from all that history to be a grander, more grown-up pop diva, end quote. For all the Supreme success, Mary Wilson acknowledged in her 1986 autobiography, Dream Girl, My Life as a Supreme. That was the name of her autobiography, Dream Girl, My Life as a Supreme. She acknowledged that there had been friction in the group during Diana Ross's tenure. No kidding. No kidding. The book took its name from the 1981 Broadway musical Dreamgirls, later made into a movie which was widely regarded as being based on the Supremes' history. Mary Wilson was quoted as saying she liked the musical. Diana Ross claimed not to have seen it. Girl, you saw that. All right. Okay, anyway. Now, quote, Diane always liked to be the center of attraction, Mary Wilson told People magazine in 1986. Tell us something we don't know. Using Diana Ross's original first name, she called it Diane. Quote, now Diana Ross graduated from Cass Technical High School also. Some people say that has something to do with her being, well, some people may say she's arrogant or something like that. I'm not saying she's arrogant, but some people may say she's arrogant. Some people may say that has something to do with her graduating from Cass Technical High School. Just happens to be the high school I graduated from as well. But that just one don't have nothing to do with the other. So Mary Wilson said, if you happen to be in her way while she was going toward the center, that was your fault. So the strains in their relationship appeared in public again in the year 2000 when Miss Mary Wilson and Cindy Birdsong did not join a Supremes reunion tour, saying they had been offered much less payment than Diana Ross. Okay, for the tour, which did not do well and was canceled midway through its scheduled 29 dates, Diana Ross was joined by Linda Lawrence and Sherry Payne. I don't know who the hell these people are. I'm sure they're good singers, or how should I put it? I'm sure they're good singers, or possibly backup singers. I don't know, but I don't know who they are. Okay, but let me just say this here. All due respect, Mary Wilson. I know, okay, I don't think she should have been paid a lot less than Diana Ross. But if you look at who had a more successful solo career, I know Mary Wilson was a founding member of the Supremes. I understand that. If you look, you talking about the year 2000, okay? Destiny's Child is out in 2000, TLC. If you look who had a more successful solo career between Diana Ross and Mary Wilson, there's no comparison. So I can understand her being upset she was being paid a lot less than Diana Ross. I can understand that, because you say, well, hold on, I was a founding member of this group. Now, if Diana Ross got more money than Mary Wilson, I don't know how much she got. Say hypothetically, Diana Ross hypothetically got 200,000 and Mary Wilson got 175,000. Okay, I can understand that. Diana Ross got 200,000 and Mary Wilson got 50,000. Well, that's an insult. So if Diana Ross got paid more than Mary Wilson, I can understand that. If she got paid substantially more, that could be an insult to a founding member. And if you, with the two backup singers that Diana Ross went out with, I can see why they had to cancel that. I don't know who I don't know who they are. It's Diana Ross and fill in the blank. It's Diana Ross and fill in the blank. Okay. So for the tour, which did not do well and was canceled midway through its scheduled 29 dates, you know the tour is not doing well when it's midway through the tour and they have to cancel the tour. You know, it ain't doing well. Okay. They should have just gone and paid Mary, something comparable or whatever to get her on the tour. So Miss Ross was joined by Linda Lawrence and Sherry Payne, who had joined the Supremes after she left. Quote, my biggest desire and dream is that Diane and I are together again, Mary Wilson said on CBS in that year, in the year 2000. She said, first of all, it's a friendship thing for me. It's a friendship thing for me. Now, Diana Ross said on Twitter on Tuesday that she had wonderful memories of her time with Mary Wilson and that the Supremes will live on in our hearts. Okay, that's true. And let's pull this up here. Let's go to this tweet from the boss, Ms. Ross. Let's look at this here. Diana Ross, February 9th, 6:52 a.m. said, I just woke up to this news. My condolences to you, Mary's family. And I'm reminded that each day is a gift. I have so many wonderful memories of our time together. The Supremes will live on in our hearts. So that's from Miss Ross, Diana Ross. You can follow her on Twitter at at Diana Ross on Twitter. At Diana Ross on Twitter. Okay. You can follow her there. All right, let's see. Let me see something here. How many followers does she have? I don't know. I didn't know she was on Twitter. I just found out she was on Twitter, reading this up. 117,000 followers. Okay. So y'all go ahead and follow Ms. Ross. She needs some more followers. She should have more. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious. I'm not trying to start anything. But she is an icon. All right. She should have more followers. I don't know how often she tweets anything like that. I really ain't trying to start nothing. I mean, but damn, Cardi B got like how many followers does Cardi B? She has millions. So if you go ahead and follow Ms. Ross. All right. Let's continue. Okay, so check out the rest of this article here from New York Times. Now, Mary Wilson is survived by her daughter, Takessa, her sons Pedro Antonio Jr. and William, her sister Catherine, her brother Roosevelt, 10 grandchildren, and a great-granddaughter. Her marriage to Pedro Ferreira ended in divorce. She remained in the spotlight in recent years. In 2019, she competed on Dancing with the Stars. I don't watch Dancing with the Stars either, so I don't remember that. Maybe some of you all do. I used to watch Dancing with the Stars a little bit when Brandy was on. Then Brandy got robbed, so a lot of reality TV shows, game shows I don't watch. I will watch Braxton's Family Values because I like Tony Braxton. I will watch Braxton's Family Values, and I like growing up hip hop. Okay. And I like to see the next generation of hip hop and realize a lot of them don't know what the hell they're doing. But I do like growing up hip hop and Braxton's Family Values, but a lot of other stuff and a lot of crazy stuff, the housewives shows, and I don't watch that stuff. Okay. So check out this article here from New York Times, written by Derek Bryson Taylor. Derek Bryson Taylor has the byline for this story. And this is, let's flip over to this. Mary Wilson, an original member of the Supremes, dies at 76. Okay. So she would definitely be missed. Founding member of the Supremes. She's a piece of American history, piece of African American history, piece of music history. All right. So let's continue. How's everybody doing? Ruby said nicely, Michael. We got TC Cook. Who else we have here? Miss Brand. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Also on our YouTube channel, Michael M. Hotep, IMHOTEP. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live, because neither one notifies everybody when we go live. That's part of the problem. Neither one notifies me. I'm still trying to figure out what's up with that. Okay. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out why you hating on it, brother. But so here's information for my online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. You can still register for it. It's not too late. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1 that we did today. And class number 1 is in 2 parts. So we went past 2 hours. We did like almost 2 hours, 30 minutes. I had to stop and do this show. So it was actually about 2 hours, 30 minutes we did. When you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, okay, if you go to the website, right on the home page, it has the information. And there was a technical difficulty, so I created a new page for the sign up for the class, all of that, so it's working more smoothly for people. Let me pull this up quickly to show you this. We posted the link here for the class. but also if you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, scroll down, you see the information for the radio show on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then right below that, click here. You can read articles that I've written. It's about time for me to start writing articles again. I think it's about 60 articles there I've written. I'm just so busy, I don't have time to write articles anymore. Then it's information here about the online course. Okay. You'll see the flyer here. Click right here, register here. Takes you here to sign up. Okay. Click right here, enroll. Click on enroll, go through the process. Then as soon as you register, you can start watching the content. You can watch from around the world, watch as many times as you want. If you can't attend the class live, once again, it's recorded. You can go back and watch it. So you don't have to feel, I'm not going to take attendance. Okay. I'm not going to call your parents if you're not in class, right? So you don't have to worry about that. Some people, you know, are going to watch 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and watch when they get off work, what have you. So next class will be Tuesday, February 16th. Tuesday, February 16th. And our guest is going to be cultural anthropologist Sister Nubia Wardford. So you don't want to miss that class. And as soon as you register, you can watch class number 1, and there's some bonus content and more bonus content I'm uploading also. All right. Okay, let's continue here. So I want to go to this last story here. And birthday shout outs, we'll have to get to some of that tomorrow. Republican proposed bills. I want to pull this up from, there's an article from newsone.com. Republican proposed bills want to prevent teaching students about injustice. And pull this up. This is from February 5th, 2021. I posted this article on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. It got over 1,000 likes. It got hundreds of comments. And a lot of people think that all we have to do is just teach our children our history, okay? And we don't have to worry about the history that other people's children are learning. That's not true. What people know about you greatly influences how they treat you, greatly influences the policies that people vote for and the elected officials people vote for that write policies that impact you. So a lot of times we think all we have to do is just teach our children our history. No, not at all. So bills in several states want to limit teaching about racism and oppression, adopting the framing of the debunked 1776 Commission report. Now, the 1776 Commission report, that report worked a lot to incorrectly rewrite the history or distort the history of slavery in this country. And luckily, that commission, the report was taken down off of whitehouse.gov by President Joe Biden. And the report, the commission was disbanded by Joe Biden also, rightfully so. Now, I think something that Biden can do, and maybe they're already contemplating this, I don't know. I think Joe Biden should form a commission to do a report that deals with the real history of this country and encompasses African American history into the real history of this country. Okay, you need a report that deals with that and put that on whitehouse.gov that is going to tell the correct history of this country. And then that can lead to getting HR 40 passed in the House of Representatives, because there's not enough votes in the House of Representatives to pass HR 40. Most Americans are ignorant of history. And the majority of people in the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate don't think a debt is owed to African Americans. as a legacy of slavery. Most of them don't think the debt is owed. That's why H.R. 40 hasn't gone anywhere, even the revised one. It can't get out of committee. So let's look at this last story here. Reparations is a legislative process. You understand Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. Congress controls the purse strings. Reparations is a legislative process. So GOP-controlled state legislatures aim to pick up where the now disbanded 1776 commission left off. Republican lawmakers in several states are moving forward with legislation that would implement similar efforts. Bills in Arkansas, Iowa, and Mississippi prevent the use of the 1619 Project as part of teaching the legacy of slavery. Now, even though there's some flaws in the 1619 Project, there's still some things that you can use to teach the history of slavery in this country. Something else that should be used to teach the history of slavery is the study from the Southern Poverty Law Center, Teaching Hard History of American Slavery, because this is designed for teachers to use, and parents can use this also. Parents who have their children at home at the kitchen table, going to school online. This is something that you can use also to deal with teaching history. And if in your students' classes, and they're talking about African American History Month and dealing with history, they're dealing with the history of slavery, if they're not using this, I would strongly urge you to suggest it to them. They did a survey of 1,000 high school seniors and found how very little they know about history. Only 8% of high school seniors surveyed knew that it took a constitutional, only 8% of high school seniors surveyed could identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. Only 8%. So they lay out a number of ways of how the history of slavery is being incorrectly taught in schools across the country. Then they lay out a lot of recommendations of how to more correctly teach that history. One of the things they tell you don't you ever, never ever do, are slave reenactments. And reenactments of slave auctions. And reenactments of slaves running away and getting captured and all this. Don't do that stuff. They tell you don't do that. That can be very traumatizing to students, not just African American students, but it could be traumatizing to other ethnic group students also. You can get a copy of that at splcenter.org, splcenter.org, which is Southern Poverty Law Center website. Teaching Hard History of American Slavery is the name of that study. They have a PDF there. They have a write-up on it. They also have a PDF you can download it. I downloaded it, took it to the printer, got it printed up. Okay. All right. So let's continue here. So bills in Arkansas, Iowa, and Mississippi prevent the use of the 1619 Project as a part of teaching the legacy of slavery. The Arkansas legislature is considering two bills that would limit that would limit racial justice in the curriculum. The Arkansas legislature is considering two bills that would limit racial justice in the curriculum. House Bill 1231 would prevent schools from using the 1619 Project as part of the curriculum. Now, House Bill 1218, and let me see, there was which one is that? There's an article that I want to pull up. There's, okay, it's not that one. There's another article I want to pull up from Associated Press. This is one that was referenced in the article from newsone.com. From Associated Press, GOP states weigh limits on how race and slavery are taught. GOP states weight limits on how race and slavery are taught. That's from Social Press. So House Bill 1218 goes a step further by preventing lessons that promote the overthrow of the U.S. government, division between certain groups of people, or social justice for certain groups, including race, gender, political affiliation, and social class. Now, this is a proposed bill in the House of Representatives. Okay, this is in Arkansas. House Bill 1218 goes a step further by preventing lessons that promote the overthrow of the U.S. government. So you're not going to teach about Trump and the insurrection, right? Division between certain groups of people, or social justice for certain groups, including race, gender, political affiliation, and social class. Well, damn, what the hell y'all going to teach? I mean, so what was the American Revolution? I mean, the 13 colonies were trying to get justice, what they thought was justice, while they were keeping African people enslaved. See, this is what happens when you have ignorant ass people in political positions in the state legislature. They write bills that impact what is taught in schools that our children go to. They write bills that impact the history and what is taught to other people's children, other races, other ethnic groups. Okay, let's continue. So Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson has expressed a preference for maintaining local control and wanting parents to have opportunities to challenge curriculum locally. An Oklahoma bill would target teachers directly for teaching so-called divisive topics, including the U.S. is a racist country at its core, which is something proposed by the 1619 Project. The U.S. is a racist country at its core. Recently, a Georgia lawmaker launched an inquiry into whether public universities in the state are teaching about white privilege or oppression. They should be teaching about white privilege and oppression. Once again, elections have consequences. This is why a lot of these ignorant people, like a lot of these state lawmakers, they have to be voted out of office. It's not just the House of Representatives and U.S. Senate at the federal level, it's your state House of Representatives and your state Senate. How violations of these proposed bills would be interpreted is unclear. As reported previously by News1.com, similar to the 1776 Commission, these measures are fueled by a fear of accurate historical accounts. A fear of accurate historical accounts. Failing to teach history and prioritizing the feelings of white conservatives could be seen as a contributing factor to the January 6th attacks and the January 6th insurrection incited by the traitor-in-chief, Donald Trump, who commissioned the 1776 Project. Failing to teach history and prioritizing the feelings of white conservatives could be seen as a contributing factor to the January 6th attacks and a willingness to believe conspiracy theories and other fabrications. Educators have also raised concerns about academic freedom and job security for teaching accurate history. Some even see the proposed laws as limiting student opportunities beyond the classroom. Matthew Bodie, the state conference president of the American Association of University Professors and a University of North Georgia professor called questions an effort to intimidate professors. In an interview with the Associated Press, Matthew Bodie called the request an attack on higher education. He said it perpetuates a pernicious agenda. It perpetuates a pernicious agenda. I don't know why a state representative who won his district by 40 points needs to throw red meat to his base. But this echoes national conservative discourse that has been laughed from the public square by historians and other experts. And most of these people in the state legislature writing these crazy ass laws, these idiotic laws, don't understand history themselves. They're just operating out of white supremacy and racism and trying to appease their base. If passed, such laws could interfere with educators' abilities to join efforts such as the Black Lives Matter at school, okay? Black Lives Matter at school events taking place this week. Started in 2016, the Week of Action takes place during the first week of Black History Month, encouraging lessons and conversations about Black history, anti-racist movements, and intersectional Black identities. Opposition to teaching curriculum consistent with objectives of racial equity and social justice mimics Jim Crow era tactics to control information. So check out this article here. Check out the links in the article. Republican proposed bills want to prevent teaching students about injustice. This is written by Anoa Changa for newsone.com. Bills in several states want to limit teaching about racism and oppression, adopting the framing of the debunked 1776 Commission. All right, so check out this article. We'll post a link here. I want to go to this last article here. We'll look at this quickly. This is from Associated Press, and this was cited in that article from newsone.com. This was cited in the article from News One. GOP states weigh limits on how race and slavery are taught. GOP states weigh limits on how race and slavery are taught. Now, at the same time, these are some of the very same people that will vote against, who are against reparations and will vote against reparations. And then they don't want the real history of this country to be taught and the real history of slavery to be taught at the same time. Now, some of these very same states are contemplating and trying to pass laws to make it harder for people to vote, especially African Americans. Okay? All of this is connected. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. All right, so before we go to that article from Associated Press, let's look at, I want to look at two other ones here quickly, because I just did a 2.5 hour class. So let's look at this one here from Politico.com. Okay, from Politico. I've talked about this before. State Republicans push new voting restrictions after Trump lost. State Republicans push new voting restrictions after Trump's loss. Georgia is at the center of the effort, with state Republicans discussing voter ID changes and other new policies after Biden won the state of Georgia. So if we look at this now, once again, all this is connected. You have people who are trying to suppress teaching about racism and oppression in schools and writing laws to keep teachers from teaching about racism and oppression in schools. They don't want the real history of slavery taught in schools. Then at the same time, some of those very same state legislatures are trying to pass laws to make it harder for people, especially African Americans, to vote so they can change the laws. So Republican legislatures, this is from January 24th, 2021 from Politico.com. Republican legislators across the country are preparing a slew of new voting restrictions in the wake of former President Donald Trump, the traitor-in-chief's defeat. Georgia will be the focal point of the GOP push to change state election laws. Why are they trying to change state election laws in Georgia? What just happened in Georgia that now all of a sudden they want to change the laws? Oh, Reverend Raphael Warnock beat Kelly Loeffler twice in the November 3rd election and a runoff election. And then Senator David Perdue lost to John Ossoff. You maybe think that has something to do with it after Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden in Georgia. Georgia will be the focal point of the GOP push to change state election laws after Democrats narrowly took both Senate seats there and President Joe Biden carried the state by an even smaller margin. It was 11,780 votes. Isn't that how many votes Donald Trump told Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on that 1 hour and 2 minute conference call that Trump didn't know was being recorded? He said, all I have to do is find 11,780 votes. What he's really telling us is, I need you to go find these votes for me. 11,779. They needed one more vote. 11,779 votes is how many votes Trump lost to Joe Biden. But state Republicans in deeper red states and battleground states alike are citing Trump's meritless claims of voter fraud in 2020 and the declining trust in the election integrity Trump helped drive as an excuse to tighten access to the polls. But hold on. The experts are saying this was the most secure election in years. So why you have to change all these laws now? Because I guarantee you, if Republicans won those 2 Senate seats and Donald Trump won Georgia or some of these other states, if Trump won re-election and won Georgia and Michigan and Pennsylvania, all this stuff, they wouldn't be trying to change these laws. Some Republican officials have been blunt about their motivations. They don't believe they can win unless the rules change. So I want to make sure I understand this. African Americans register to vote. We organize, we mobilize, we energize, we fund a lot of these organizations, donate a lot of these organizations. We come out and vote in spite of COVID, mail-in voting, in-person voting, early voting. But now that you lose, instead of you coming with better policies, instead of you trying to show African Americans how your policies are going to be more beneficial for us, because that's what these black Republicans keep telling us, these black conservatives. They may not be Republicans, maybe just be black conservatives. A lot of these black Trump supporters, Candace Owens and James C. Harris and Terrence Williams and Bruce LaVale, Paris Denard, F. Lee Francis, that you see on Fox News and all these other places. So when they want to keep talking about how Republicans are much better for African Americans than Democrats, instead of you coming and talking about policies and how your policies are going to be better, because most of your policies are not better. I mean, just be honest. All we got to do is look and see who's blocking policies in the House and the Senate that are going to be beneficial to us. And that's all you got to do. I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, but I'm not stupid either. I can see who's blocking the bills that are going to be beneficial for us. I can see who's passing the bills who are going to be more beneficial for us. But instead of you coming and dealing with policy, you want to try to change the rules and make it harder for us to vote. And so my question is, all these black conservatives that trying to tell us to vote for Republicans, what are y'all saying about this? When you going to denounce what your party's doing? When you going to denounce this? I still haven't heard them come out and denounce Republicans trying to overturn the votes of African Americans. I mean, come together as a collective, hold a press conference. They're not going to do that because the checks are stopped the next day. They're not going to do that because the checks will stop coming the next day, or maybe later that same day. So pay attention. I want to see them denounce this. I'm still waiting. I haven't heard them do it. So let's go back to this one here from Politico. Then we're going to get out of here. They don't believe some Republican officials have been blunt about their motivations. They don't believe they can win unless the rules change. They don't have quote, they don't have to change all of them, but they've got to change the major parts of them so that we at least have a shot at winning. End quote, said Alice Olenek, a Republican on the Gwinnett County, Georgia Board of Elections in suburban Atlanta. She told us to the Gwinnett Daily Post last week. She has since resisted calls to resign. Isn't Georgia where Stone Mountain is? Because when I was there in 17, that's where Stone Mountain was, in Georgia. And on the side of the mountain are the carvings of 3 traitors to the Union: General Robert E. Lee, Thomas Stonewall Jackson, and Jefferson Davis. And Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederacy. You think maybe they got something to do with this here, and they're trying to make it harder to vote? Now, here's the other thing. This is 2 critical things people need to understand. 2 critical things you got to understand. One, the Senate seat that Reverend Raphael Warnock just won, he's finishing out a term. He only has 2 years in that term. He has to run for re-election in 2022. That's why they're trying to pass these laws in Georgia to take back that Senate seat in 2022. Secondly, Stacey Abrams most likely will run for governor again in 2022. Republicans know if everything stays the same and they don't pass new laws trying to make it harder to vote, they know Stacey Abrams is going to win in 2022 because she has built a voting machine. She has built an infrastructure, and she has been educating people. She and other people like Latasha Brown and things like this of Black Voters Matter. They've been educating people, and not just African Americans. They've been educating Latinos and poor white people, everything. They've been educating them about the connection between who's in office, the policies they write, and your conditions. And they've been drawing a direct line, okay? Republicans know if Stacey Abrams runs in 2022, she's going to win the governorship. She's going to beat Brian Kemp, who stole the election from her in 2018. So they're trying to keep this from happening. So read the rest of this article here for the sake of time. We talked about this before. This is from Politico. State Republicans push new voting restrictions after Trump's loss. I thought they were talking about unity and we need to get past the insurrection. You're going to pass more laws to make it harder to vote, especially harder for African Americans to vote. Okay. What you want to do. Then, along those lines, let's look at this article here from January 30th, 2021. We've talked about this before. Now, this is from The Guardian. This really puts it in perspective. There are 106 pieces of legislation in 28 states being pushed by Republicans to make it harder to vote. In 2021 legislative sessions, lawmakers in 28 states have pushed a whopping 106 bills that will restrict voting rights. They're trying to make it harder to vote. Once again, I just thought y'all were going to come with a better deal. I thought y'all were going to talk about your policies and how you cried about George Floyd, so you want criminal justice reform and holding police accountable, and you raise the minimum wage, the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and lower, make college affordable, forgive student loan debt. You want to make college affordable, things like this. I thought you were going to talk about your infrastructure bill, talk about bringing high-speed internet to rural America, because 25% of African Americans live in rural America. I thought you were going to talk about things like that. It's been less than a month since right-wing insurrectionists stormed the Capitol building in a deadly riot incited by the traitor-in-chief Donald Trump. And let me scroll down here. A new report from the Brennan Center for Justice shows just how effectively Republicans have been talking out of both sides of their mouths, at once decrying the violence over false allegations of election rigging, and at the same time using false allegations of voter fraud to make it harder for people to vote. Now, in 2021 legislative sessions, which 6 states haven't yet begun at the time of this article, January 26, 2021, lawmakers in 28 states have pushed a whopping 106 bills that will restrict voting access. And at the time of this article, the month wasn't even over. Well, the first year, the first month of 2021 wasn't even over. According to the Brennan Center, that's 3 times the number of restrictive voting laws that were introduced by February 3rd of 2020. 106. According to the Brennan Center, that's 3 times the number of restrictive voting laws that were introduced by February 3rd of 2020. You think maybe elections have consequences? Because I can tell you, the Republicans are trying to hold on to power, and they feel it slipping through their fingers. They see that white people have a negative birth rate in 26 states out of 50. That's not me. That's the U.S. Census Bureau memo from June of 2018. They see that by 2043, white people will no longer be the majority population in this country. They see they just lost Georgia. Talk about the devil going down in Georgia. They just lost Georgia. They lost the presidential election and 2 Senate seats in Georgia. And they know Stacey Abrams is going to run for governor in 2022 in Georgia. So Georgia could end up with an African-American female governor. And then they see African-Americans becoming more politically astute and understanding. We got to vote these jackasses out of office because they're passing laws that do us harm. And they're trying to hold on to power. So let's continue here. Okay, so these laws are clearly responsive to widespread conspiracy theories on the right. Conspiracy theories started by the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Each one of these 106 bills aims to make voting harder by scaling back. They want to make voting harder by scaling back vote by mail and imposing stricter voting identification laws. Okay, They want to they want to scale back voting by mail, which was crucial, which was huge in the 2020 election, and impose stricter voter identification laws, limiting policies that successfully registered large numbers of voters, or allowing states to more easily and aggressively purge their voter rolls. So instead of you trying to come with a better policies and a better deal, because you talk about Republican Party, that's the party of Lincoln. African Americans used to be Republicans. You should vote for Republicans. Instead of you talking about policies, trying to win our vote, you're trying to make it harder for us to actually vote. Instead of you talking about policies that affect our lives and would improve our conditions, instead of you talking about that, you're trying to make it harder for us to vote. So you can't, on the one hand, say African vote doesn't matter, but then on the other hand, people are consistently trying to make it harder for us to vote. You can't, on the one hand, say the African American vote doesn't matter, but then on the other hand, you have people in state legislatures, these Republicans, who are trying to make it harder for us to vote. They fear our vote more so than many of us value our vote, because they understand the power of it, because they understand politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources. And the laws and policies that are written by people who are either elected into office or appointed by people who are elected into office. So all of this is connected. And then lastly, look at the article from Associated Press. GOP states weigh limits on how race and slavery are taught. Okay. That's from Associated Press. GOP states weigh limits on how race and slavery are taught. What I'm trying to explain to the reparations now people is reparations how. See, when people say I'm all for reparations, but one, I'm for making legal arguments for reparations. Two, I'm for laying out the logical steps. It has to pass the House of Representatives and U.S. Senate. There's not enough people in either house that support reparations to get a bill passed. If you can't get a bill passed to study reparations, then how the hell you get one passed to pay reparations? Whatever form reparations is going to be in. There's not enough votes to get H.R. 40 passed, which is a bill to study slavery and what happened to African Americans in this country, and study the feasibility of reparations and make recommendations on how reparations, the form reparations should be in, or restitution, and how to disseminate it. There were more Democrats in the 116th Congress than there are in the 117th Congress in the House of Representatives. The 117th Congress was sworn in on January 3rd, 2021. If you couldn't get H.R. 40 passed in the 116th Congress, how the hell are you going to get it passed now? That's a bill to study reparations. If you can't get a bill passed to study reparations, how the hell you get one passed to pay it? People don't want to approach this logically. This is why when people say reparations now, my response is reparations how? You explain it to me. There's less support in the U.S. Senate for reparations than there is in the House of Representatives. There's only 2.5 black people in the entire damn Senate. Okay, let's be honest. There's only 2.5. The half is Tim Scott, Black Tea Party Republican from South Carolina, because half the time he don't act like he's black. And he's already said he's not voting for reparations. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin blocked the Juneteenth bill that Senator Cori Bush and Senator Kamala Harris were pushing in the U.S. Senate to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Okay, and have Juneteenth recognized and really teach about Juneteenth. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin blocked that bill using the unanimous consent rule in the U.S. Senate. If you can't get a bill passed to make Juneteenth a federal holiday and give white people the day off. How the hell are you going to get a reparations bill passed to pay reparations? That's not even logical. But people don't want to have this conversation. We have to lay out what is the logical process to bring into fruition reparations, and that's a legislative process. That's not an executive order. Read Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. Congress controls the purse strings. That has to pass the House of Representatives. You need 218 votes to get any bill passed in the House of Representatives, a simple majority. There are 435 seats in the House of Representatives. There's only about 60 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. In the House, it's in the House is like what, 59 members of the Congressional Black Caucus, because Tim Scott, or 58 members. It's like 59, 58 members in the House. There's 435 members in the House of Representatives. And Reverend Raphael Warnock, he joined the Congressional Black Caucus. Senator Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina, he didn't join the Congressional Black Caucus. So a lot of this stuff, once again, people are not going through the logical process. This is why people say reparations now. My response is reparations how? Explain it to me how. We're going to demand is not a plan. I hear people say we're going to demand reparations. We've been trying to get reparations for 200 years. Come on, be real. We're going to demand is not a plan. Plus, you got to have people in office to properly respond to your demands. The majority of the people in the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate don't think a debt is owed. Most of them don't think a debt is owed. So, all right. That's enough of that. All right, hey, if you like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you want to donate 10, 15, 25, 50, 100, whatever it is, you can do that. That helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air. We're here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. A lot of times we go over, like today. And then Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on 9, 10 a.m. to Superstation WFDF in Detroit, and also on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, our YouTube channel. These shows are in audio podcast format because I just uploaded a lot of podcasts, audio podcasts, past couple of days. So wherever you get your audio podcast from, search for the African History Network Show, the African History Network Show. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, FM Player, TuneIn, Castbox. And then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Right on the homepage, click on Listen to Podcasts. Listen to Podcasts, okay? You can still register for our online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. As soon as you register, we'll post the link here. It's also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1 that we did today. Class number 2 will be Tuesday, February 16th. It's 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll try not to run over. We did more than 2 hours today. We'll try not to do that because I have to do this show after I do the class. So I'm still hyped from the class. So that's why we went over past an hour for the show. But I'm trying to cut down on that. All right. So go ahead and register for the class. And if you have any questions, email me at ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com. So as soon as you register, you can watch class number 1. There's also bonus content as well. You can watch from around the world. And you can watch as many times as you want to. We do the classes live on Tuesday nights. You can ask questions in the class, do a live chat, a text chat. And you don't have to be present in the class if you're working or what have you. You can just watch the class sessions whenever you want to. All right. Okay, look, we have the, so Ronald said a lot of musical artists are not aware of Mary Wilson's fight to get artists paid their worth. Yeah, and you've had a number of different artists who tried to do that also. Get artists paid their worth. I remember a few years ago, George Clinton finally got paid royalties because so many George Clinton songs have been sampled by hip hop artists, things like that. So a lot of them don't get paid to do so. You have people like Mary Wilson, people like George Clinton fighting so artists get paid, especially African American artists, get paid their due. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.